Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Tubbs Podcast here today on YouTube exclusively with me and John to talk about WrestleMania 38.
Oh,
John, before we get into proceedings, how are you doing?
I'm still remarkably tired. I went to sleep on Saturday night after WrestleMania Saturday, but I got zero sleep Sunday night and just cracked the laptop open and cracked straight into work. So I was very tired come last night. So I'm still a little bit tired, but I've managed to get some rest, which is good.
Absolutely. I've been on a 3-night extravaganza because I set it for Raw after Mania as well.
Yeah, sleep until like midday.
I didn't today to be up for election. I got about 3 hours sleep last night, so I feel I'm good. Do you know what? Because John, I'm going to say this now. Obviously we'll go match by match and we'll talk about it. But overall, this weekend, one of the most fun WrestleManias, at least in recent memory, for me anyway.
Yeah, it's been pretty stellar actually. It's delivered pretty much across the board. There were very few low points. So it's done a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Genuinely, it's the first time in about maybe 3 years that I've really enjoyed it across the board. The whole show. I was sat there and going, do you know what? I don't dislike that. I'm going to be honest. I didn't heavily dislike anything on the card. There are a few things I might have disagreed with, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there were one or two curious things, but there's nothing where you kind of sat there and out went, well, that's just wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we were going match by match analysis. So we'll kick off with how the show kicked off. Actually, it was Rick Boogs teaming with Shinsuke Nakamura.
Do we want to say a little bit about Stand and Deliver first, or?
Oh, I didn't watch much of it.
Kind of match by match, but just.
I didn't catch much of it, so if you wanna say,
the highlights for me of Stand and Deliver, I loved the triple threat tag match. I thought that was pretty exceptional. And actually, as we may see going on through this video, I know we were talking last week about how multiple tag team matches with like 3 or 4 teams don't always work. I think actually that's something that they've generally got right across this weekend. They've booked them really well. But yeah, the triple threat tag match I thoroughly enjoyed. Obviously, Ciampa against the other guy was pretty damn good. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next there. The title match was good fun, but I think we'll come on later to some more thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Obviously really interesting because that was on obviously night 1 of Mania. It was really interesting for me because obviously I've gone back home, so I had night 1 in Cardiff, night 2 here.
If you were based in the west coast of America, so if you were in like LA or somewhere, it was 10 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
10 o'clock in the morning.
Which would have been a very early morning start for you and your graps.
Odd timing.
But yes, night 1 of WrestleMania was Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura. Although actually, first of all, it kicked off with Mark Wahlberg, which made me laugh for some reason. Doing a promotion, and he kept saying the word "stupendous," which was hilarious. But yes, Rick Boogs with Nakamura versus the Usos. This match lasted about 7 minutes. Was obviously probably meant to go longer, but unfortunately, a real injury to Rick Boogs kind of set this match. Just about to get going, couldn't really go any further.
Yeah, it's a shame because actually this one was going great guns and was looking like a good matchup. I mean, I think the Usos were always going to retain, but this one was going great guns, and then legitimately he just looked like he blew a knee out, attempting to Samoan drop both Usos at the same time. Which I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think my knee probably did blow out if I tried to Samoan drop half an Uso. So to do 2 at the same time is, But yeah, it's really unfortunate for Rick Boogs. Obviously, we hope that things aren't as serious as they maybe looked, and that he's on the road to recovery. But yeah, it's a shame because it was a shame to sort of start off on that footing because actually it was a really good match and clearly they curtailed it sooner than they intended to,
Yep.
because obviously they needed to get some medical treatment for him.
Yeah, I wonder one positive we could take from this match, or even from the experience, is how over Boogs is. I mean, when he did his intro, the crowd are into this guy.
Oh yeah,
And also Pat McAfee always dancing to Shinsuke Nakamura and Boog's music is never not really funny to me. I think at one point you saw him, he was sat down, he just jumps out of nowhere over the top of the announce table, and it was class. But yeah, the Usos retain here, like me and John said the other week. We saw this kind of happening. We didn't really see it going any other way. But yeah, shame for Boogs. And as soon as we get a bigger update, then we'll probably talk about it in our next wrestling podcast. Right, next up, Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin with Madcap Moss by his side. Okay, this was better than I expected. I can't lie to you. I had a fun time with this match. A few cool spots as well. Obviously, the first person to ever kick out of the end of days, which the commentary team could have made more of a thing of.
See, I was thinking this, like, is he though?
Yeah.
Is he the first person to kick out of it, like under the Happy Corbin gimmick, or
No,
like
forever.
in all the years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that is really impressive for like a finisher, because finishers get kicked out of far too often these days.
The only other one
that is really impressive.
the only other one I can think of that was protected that much was, it's going to sound weird, but it's true. It's the Cobra, which was only kicked out of once by Daniel Bryan inside the Elimination Chamber.
But, you know, people kick out of Tombstone pile drivers, they kick out of F5s, they kick out of attitude adjustments and Superman punches and spears, and yeah, for the end of days to be an unbeatable finisher.
Yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a sick move.
It is on, yeah, and so is the Deep Six as well. His spinning side slam. Both of his signature moves are incredible. Yeah, this match again, really, really fun. Like obviously, it was a SmackDown match, like we said in our show last time, where we said it's going to be essentially a SmackDown match. But the thing to talk about, John, really is the post match. Drew McIntyre beats Happy with the Claymore, and the post match, Drew McIntyre almost commits murder.
I mean, it's at least criminal damage.
Yeah.
And probably attempted murder.
So
yeah,
Madcap.
I mean, good old Madcap Moss nearly got his head split into with the sword.
Yes. And obviously
Angela,
there was
Angela, is it Angela the sword?
Yeah, it was Angela the sword. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Angela. I want to say
Abigail, it's named after. It's weird. It's weird that I find it in storyline that he named the sword after his mother. Which is bizarre, but there we go.
Yeah, well, I mean, I obviously, when SmackDown was on Friday night, I kind of had it on because I was on a Zoom with you, but I had it on mute, so I didn't actually catch the shit that Corbin was saying about McIntyre's mum.
Yeah.
When I caught that on Saturday, I was like, wow, they've gone there.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so
I mean, we haven't seen references to dead parents since the legendary Big Show Boss Man series of 1999, which resulted in a coffin being dragged away from a funeral, and Big Show outing Paul White as a bastard on live television.
Indeed. Next up, we head to the Miz and Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. Right, first things first, right, and I will say this to the end of my days. Logan Paul, he's done some interesting things. He doesn't seem like the most savoury of characters. However, props to him, man.
This was better than it had any right to be. The guy can actually fucking wrestle. Yeah, this was better than it had any right to be. And yeah, is Logan Paul one of the biggest assholes on the planet? Probably. Ironically, he's not even the biggest asshole in his family.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, props to the guy. He was throwing out some moves here.
It wasn't even just the moves, though. It was how he was acting towards the camera. He was perfect. Like, he was playing up to the hard cam. Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. He was brilliant.
He clearly paid attention and trained really well for this. And
yeah,
obviously the fact with how this ended with the Miz
turning on him.
putting him down, that's not gonna be the end of his time in WWE.
Face Logan Paul, and do you know what? Based on that performance, I can see it working. And do you know what? Like you said, Logan Paul, is he a bit of a dickhead? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think he's made for this. Like, he did a Three Amigos incredibly well. And you know what? You could tell as well that he knew exactly what he was doing. The little Eddie Guerrero taunt at the top with a perfect frog splash. Well, it wasn't like he was doing simple moves. No,
I mean,
there proper shit.
There was some pretty complex stuff in there.
It was great.
There was some pretty complex stuff in there. He was looking pretty good.
Yeah,
I am starting to wonder how much longer they're going to run with Rey and Dominic. There is a kind of bit of me that's like, you know what, split them.
Yeah.
Do something
Dominic is not Booyaka. I'm sorry. Dominic needs to go to NXT. Like, I think he just needs some time. I don't think he's ready. I don't think because the issue is right. It's that if you split them, nobody's going to care about Dominic Mysterio because why would you? They've given us no reason to, apart from the fact he's the son of Rey Mysterio, which unfortunately, when you've got no charisma, means jack shit. So he needs to go down to. I think he needs to go down to NXT. I know, but he doesn't. He doesn't though.
I mean, steady on, Alex. You didn't write time flight.
He didn't. Yeah, he's not Peter Grimwade, but he's close. No, I'm joking. But no, I think NXT would be good for him just to get some time on the mic because I feel like that's where he's good in ring. He's very entertaining to watch in the ring, but I feel like whenever he gets on the microphone, you can tell they're scripted words. You know what I mean? Whereas, I think he just needs a bit of time.
He's not the only guy that's struggled on the mic a little bit in the past, shall we say?
Absolutely.
He said, indicating towards his background.
Yes, and we shall get to that very much. But yeah, Miz with a sneaky tag after a 619, double 619 on Logan Paul. Miz sticks it behind, gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. But as you said, John, in the post-match, Miz and Logan are celebrating, and Miz does that cheeky face.
Skull thrusting finale.
And just knocks him out, and yeah, he's going mental. People saw this as a Miz face turn. I knew straight away that it's a Logan face turn, really, essentially, kind of.
I mean, the crowd can decide what way they want it to go, but I think it's going to have to be a Logan face turn.
Right, the next match. Now, these next two matches are match of the Mania contenders for me. The first of which was Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. Right, look.
I mean, it was a quality match. It was a brilliant match. I'm not necessarily happy with the outcome, but it was a brilliant match. I mean, I massive stan for big time Bex. But it was a brilliant match, and I can see why the belt had to change hands.
Yeah, the crowd were into this one. Like, they were like, other thing, right, is that when we talk about the other women's title match later on tonight, when the crowd don't give a crap, you see the difference. But the crowd went to this one. Every fall, the crowd were there, every move. But can we just say, these two have unbelievable chemistry. Yeah. I think the Stephen rivals the Sasha Banks match in terms of, obviously not the moment itself of two women main eventing Mania, two women of colour, and of course that's not going to be taken away, but I think in terms of the in-ring stuff, I think this could be slightly better. And I think there was those little moments between the two, the storyline being built up. Like I said, I hope they leaned into the quick finishes. They did that. They did everything right. KOD, 1, 2, 3. Bianca Belair leaves Mania as a Raw Women's Champion. And mate, just incredible. It didn't let up.
No, it was more than solid. It was spectacular.
Yeah, it was legitimate. Let's go to another spectacular match next, though. Seth Rollins comes out to the ring. He's waiting in the ring. They go silent. The place goes dark. Pyro goes off. And we just hear in the mic, wrestling has more than one royal family. And I lost my shit.
And it's Papa Shango.
But he's still late. So,
guys, I've been 30 years or 29 years too late.
But no, honestly, Cody Rhodes is home. And oh my God, what the fuck? Like, this insane. Let's talk about the moment itself first before we get into the match.
This was the least well-kept secret going, by the way.
Yeah. But even so, I still lost my shit when it happened.
Oh, yeah, it was quality. I mean, there is a part of me that kind of sits there and goes, why the fuck's it got a tattoo on his neck?
Oh, no. There was an interview with Cody over Mania weekend on the Sunday afternoon, and someone was asked, "What would Dusty say to you now? Back in the WWE?" He said he'd probably ask me what the hell's on my neck. But yeah, no, Cody back. Crowd loved it. I'm happy that he's kept Kingdom by Downstate because that song just suits him. I'm happy that he's
the name of it.
Oh yeah, of course, but no, it also slaps. I like the fact that he's still the American Nightmare. Essentially, they've not reverted him back to the Cody Rhodes of WWE. They're essentially just keeping him going, which is really weird because you don't really get that cross promotions, but they're actually keeping.
I mean, he must
same character.
He must own a lot of his own intellectual property. There must be something. There must have been something in his contract with AEW that meant that he owns a lot of his own intellectual property, because you're completely right. When people transfer across, they normally don't take gimmicks and stuff with them. It's only very rare where a wrestler basically owns their own gimmick that you will see it.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, the lawyers will be all over that.
Tony Khan will be over there like a rash.
He must. There must have been something when they were setting up AEW that he owns basically his own entrance, his own persona.
Adrenaline. Sorry. But yes, obviously the crowd are red hot. But let's get into the match, right? Cody Rhodes to Seth Rollins. After watching that match, they can wrestle 100 times and be bored. I bloody love this. I thought it was, again, spectacular.
I mean, Seth Rollins will get a good match out of anybody, but when you put him up against a natural talent like Cody, somebody who's basically born to wrestle, it's only ever going to be 5-star. And this was a really good match. Absolutely.
I mean, moments we could go back to the Cody cutter. First time he's used it at WWE, the crowd go mental. We have moments of Seth Rollins trying to use the pedigree, and he goes for it a second time. Cody reverses it into his own pedigree, hits the pedigree, things like that. We also obviously had him do the Stardust taunt start, which is really funny. But I think one of the most nicest moments was he hit one crossroads, hit 2 crossroads. You think he's going for a third? No, he does the signature move of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. The crowd go mental, hits the elbow, and then hits the third crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes wins. Not only a good match, but a wonderful way of showing how wrestling isn't just sports; it's storytelling, and that you can do that in a match.
And there's clearly a lot of respect between these guys. There's clearly a hell of a lot of respect between these guys, and they both clearly wanted to elevate each other throughout the match, show the best of each other, and it's what wrestling's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I think as well, this is what. I feel kind of, I look at Twitter again, as you always do. People going, oh, this wasn't the best wrestling show that was it. But WrestleMania, that sounds weird. I don't know if you agree with John. WrestleMania isn't always about the wrestling. Although we've just had 2 really good wrestling matches, it's about the moments, right? The Mania things you remember, the moments, Austin McMahon, all that. It's not about the athleticism all the time.
As we'll touch on further when we talk about the following night, above anything else, the WrestleMania is meant to be fun.
Yep.
And there were 1 or 2 things the following night that people were slating quite bigly, and I was like, that was just really fun.
Yeah.
And so I mean, if it's doing a job and it's fun, it's WrestleMania is not just about wrestling; it's about entertainment.
Yeah. Exactly. And also, I mean, I don't mean to ruin the veil for wrestling fans, but wrestling's fake. I don't always need 5-star classic in-ring matches. If it tells a story and it's really fun, like John says, I'm going to watch it. And this was that, as well as brilliant wrestling. Now let's go on to the next match, and it won't quite be that, unfortunately. Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I don't care. The crowd didn't care. It was sloppy. it was. I really like Charlotte. I think Charlotte's great. Like legitimately, although I don't want to see her in a title picture, she is legitimately brilliant. It's the Roman Reigns factor from 5 years ago, where he kept winning and nobody wanted it because they were bored. That's where Charlotte is now. But she is legitimately a brilliant wrestler. Ronda Rousey, on the other hand, you could tell that she wasn't winning because she didn't care about the match.
I was literally like,
I fell asleep during the final segment, so I had to rewatch, but we'll get onto that in a minute. But yeah, no, this was awful. This was awful. Oh shit, there was a nip slip as well. And
there was a wardrobe malfunction.
Twitter went mental because they saw a boobie. This is a lot about wrestling fans, isn't it? But yeah, just really poor, but especially when you line it up to the two matches we spoke about before this. Really poor.
Yeah. I can understand why they backed away from this being the main event.
And there were rumors of Ronda Rousey just leaving the building before the match had kicked off because she was apparently in the afternoon. She left the building and cooler heads prevailed an hour and a half before the match had even started. So bugger knows if she didn't come back. But yes, she lost. To be fair, the match wasn't terrible. Like it wasn't like there's been worse matches. But like I said to you earlier, John, about 2 minutes ago, it's so much more impactful when the crowd care. Becky and Bianca, Cody versus the match is elevated when the crowd give a shit, and they didn't. Yeah,
zero investment in this.
Well, let's go from 0 to 100 real quick as we had the Kevin Owens show with guest Stone Cold Steve Austin. I fell asleep during this on the night. As I said, I was talking to my friend Robbie, who's appeared on the podcast before. And yeah, really good segment. Before we even get into what happened afterwards, Kevin Owens knows how to play a crowd. He's brilliant. Kevin Owens is the MVP of WWE, very similar to Seth Rollins or whoever. You put him with anybody who'll get the best out of them. He was brilliant here. Obviously, Stone Cold's music hit, and he says, "We came in for a conversation." And Kevin Owens brilliantly says, "No, I didn't just come in for a conversation. I want to fight you." And it's no holds barred. It's on Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens. I'll tell you what, although we slated Stone Cold last week for real reasons, obviously now we're in the world of wrestling, he hasn't missed a beat, is he?
Still got it.
Still got it.
Yeah, still got it. I mean, yeah, he's still got it. And what I would say about this is props to Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Actually, as well, for taking this on. Because if this does not elevate him to the main event title picture contender that he has deserved to be for years, then there is something seriously wrong.
Yeah.
This should push him to the next level.
Agreed. This is brilliant. Kevin Owens again is possibly one of the most underappreciated people in WWE because he's only ever had one world title reign and he deserves like 10 more matches. Yeah. Sorry, my leg's buckled, so I'm just lifting up here for a bit. I'll put it down in a second. Sorry for people watching on YouTube. This looks really strange.
Yeah, the guy's brilliant. The guy's brilliant.
But yeah, he's fantastic. There's not a competitor. In terms of the complete package, is there anybody better in terms of the mic skills, the heel to face switch? Have you got somebody who is as good at being a heel and a face as Kevin Owens?
And I'm not sure that there are many people who, with a crowd, are more over.
Yeah.
People love him or they hate him, but they've already got an opinion. They always care.
Yeah, there's nobody's ever watched a Kevin Owens match and said the words "I was bored."
Nobody's ever watched Kevin Owens match or a promo, or even just watched him walking out to the ring and gone, "Yeah, I don't care about this."
Yeah, let's switch this off. But that was the end of night one. Obviously, Stone Cold wins with a stunner. He did take a decent bump for them onto the concrete on the outside, which is nice. Yeah. But yeah, this match was just fun. There's not really a big moment to talk about because essentially it was a lot of playing up to the crowd. But it was really fun. And I do urge people who haven't seen it, maybe go out and find it.
Yeah, it was a perfect matchup with it. With matching Austin with Owens was a perfect matchup. They gave him the perfect opponent, really.
And And that ends night one of WrestleMania 38. Really good show. However, night two of WrestleMania 38 was somehow even better. And I was sat here and I was saying to Rob, I was like, they're not going to top that. And for me, they did. But also, John doesn't seem so sure about that. So we might disagree on a few things here, but we'll get into it. Okay, bro. Actually, no, we started the night with Triple H. Triple H came out and essentially just took in the crowd as he deserved to, put his boots in the middle of the ring and said, I want to say thank you in the only way I know how, and said, welcome. I can't do it, but welcome to WrestleMania.
Welcome to WrestleMania.
And yeah, what a start to the night. But our actual in-ring start.
Yeah, actually, the perfect start to the night. There aren't many guys that actually you would go, you know what, they deserve that moment in front of a WrestleMania crowd. But yeah, Triple H is an era-defining superstar. He deserves that moment in front of a WrestleMania crowd.
And obviously, he came into the business quite young, and he was a bit of a twat. But I think now you could say has matured into one of the nicest people in the business. You see him talk, you see him whatever. He had that nice moment with Ciampa at Stand and Deliver, where Ciampa was getting a bit too emotional when he came out.
And let us not forget, he's a West Ham fan.
Yes, of course. Come on, you Irons. But we started the night in ring with the Raw Tag Team Championship triple threat. Arcade Bro, Alpha is it Alpha Academy? I think Alpha Academy and the Street Profits. Triple threat. Thank Christ it was actually a triple threat. They listened to the podcast. They went, these two want it to be this way, and they did it because it was actually a triple threat. This match again, more fun than I've ever, than I thought it would be. This match was great, really good fun, really good fun.
As I said, the multi-team tag matches were booked really well. It wasn't a case where there was a spare wheel. It wasn't a case where you were going, well, why have they tagged that guy? It was, it was just booked really well. Obviously, RK Bro are over as fuck.
Yeah.
Everybody loves them. Everybody hates Alpha Academy. And the Street Profits played their role as well. And yeah, it was a really well booked match. I can't fault it. It was brilliant.
Thank you, as Chad Gable says. And
then obviously, we had the bit at the end with Chad Gable getting the snot slapped out of his mouth.
Yeah, I just obviously this Gable Stevenson guy is a very obviously Olympic, and I can't doubt that, but they're booking him really poorly because they're like, oh, look at this guy, you're gonna love him, and the crowd are just gonna turn on him because WWE are looking at him like, here's your next big thing, and the crowd are going,
mate, I'll tell you who else they did that with. Kurt Angle, and it fucking worked.
Okay,
don't assume that he's gonna be a face.
Yeah, if you see all that, I think that played quite well.
It reminds me of, they didn't kind of have Angle in the crowd and stuff before he debuted. They had him running promos, and a lot of it was about, he's amateur and Olympic history and stuff. And yeah, it's giving me Angle vibes in terms of how they're pushing him before he's debuted.
Awesome. Yeah, I wasn't around when that happened, but I'll take your word for it. Some moments here, Riddle hit a nice RKO from midair. That was nice. Randy Orton did the same to win the match 1, 2, 3. There's not really big moments in this match, which is a really nice fluid match, if you know what I mean, John. It wasn't like a big spot fest, but when this match did hit well, it was a strong one. Obviously, next up, we move on to Bobby Lashley versus Omos. What can you say about this one? You can say that Omos still isn't ready, really.
It's great to see Lashley back because that injury looked significantly more serious than you would suspect. So great to see him back. Yeah, he carried Omos through this match. There were some really good spots, actually. But yeah, it's aside from it, it's just great to see Lashley back, and I think that this is, well, with what follows, I think that this is clearly the start of a Lashley face turn.
Yeah.
Which could be interesting going forward in terms of where we are with the title picture, because there's one thing that we know and that we've known for like 15 years is that Vince McMahon fucking loves Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's good that
understandably, because the guy's incredible.
Yeah, I think like you said as well. It's just the start of a phase two. Really, just again, like Omos. His thing is that I'd say he's quite green. I do, as we'll get onto later on in the show. I'm not annoyed that he got time because I get why two big men going at it, but there was some people that didn't get the good end of the stick later on in the show, which we'll talk about. But
I think he's proven that he can at least get up if he falls over now, which nobody was been sure about a year.
Yeah, but shame as well because Omos seems like an absolute lovely guy, but that's the nature of the business.
I think that they're positioning things to help him.
Yes. Next up, Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn in an anything goes match. I love this. I don't care if you.
I adored this. People were slating it, and I was like, no, give me some fun. Give me a table full of mouse traps. Give me a giant mouse trap. Give me a bowling ball to the bollocks. Not me personally. Don't actually hit me in the bollocks with a bowling ball, but just give me all those things. I loved it. Right. I am not. Right. I'm not a Jackass fan. I'm not familiar with Jackass at all. I've never seen the bloke with his ass out before.
No.
I've never seen the fella that came out and started swinging away. I don't care. I don't care. I didn't need to have. It was just jolly good bloody fun, and props to Sami Zayn as well, actually, because there aren't wrestlers tend to have egos. There are not many wrestlers that would go in there with a non-wrestler and get the snot beaten out of them like that.
Yep. Totally. I rarely say this on the show. Obviously, I sometimes have really bad opinions, and I will say, if you like it, good for you. Or you don't like it, good for you. If you didn't like this, I don't care. This is fun. Let me enjoy myself. Like John said, this is fun. Give me this all day long. This is the most.
I appreciate some people wanting Sami to win. I understand why that is. Sami is underutilized.
Agreed.
He's somebody that deserves to be a much bigger star than he is. But does this genuinely hurt him?
No.
Really? No. If anything, it probably increases his stock a little bit, because again, he's shown that he's a good company guy and he's happy to take an L for the team.
Totally. Like I said, you already named some of the good moments. Some other ones, like you said, Chris Pontius coming out and stripping down in the ring. Pat McAfee was loving it with the bum out. He said, "Oh God." Wee Man doing a more impressive slam than Hulk Hogan to Andre the Giant. I don't care what you say. Wee Man body slamming Sami Zayn was one of my biggest pops the entire weekend. It was amazing.
That's possibly the only time that guy's ever been compared to Hulk Hogan.
Johnny Knoxville,
unless he's a massive racist, which I don't doubt. Which I doubt that he is. You put your team by the guy.
Yeah, no, totally. Johnny Knoxville hitting a beautiful tornado DDT as well to Sami Zayn at a cool moment. Yeah. Like you said, the mouse traps.
The boot contraption as well was quite entertaining.
The boot contraption. They're like, what's this going to be? And it was literally a device to kick Sami Zayn on the balls. Mae Young's hand making another appearance was great. The massive mousetrap, and people going, Sami Zayn could have gone out with that. Well, of course he can, but you know what? Wrestling's fake. It's fun. You're meant to suspend your disbelief for 20 minutes, and this is exactly what I needed. If
you see a film with plot holes and you do pick them out, so you should only really do it in wrestling as well.
Yeah, no, I see it. No, I see it as well, and I guarantee that I'd see the other time.
Remember that. Next time there's an episode of Doctor Who or something that we're reviewing, and you go, "Well, I don't understand it. It didn't make sense." I just sit there and go, "Doctor Who's fake. It doesn't have to."
Do you know what? Yeah, it's because on the other side of the coin, isn't it? It's exactly what you say to me in some episodes of the podcast. Is that if you can enjoy the plot holes or whatever, then you enjoy it. If you don't, if it does bug you, fair enough. I understand if people do prefer more.
I take you back to the Mind of Evil.
If there is more, if you're more of a wrestling purist, and good, do you know what? I'm not going to take that away from you. People like what they like, they enjoy what they enjoy. But for me, this is what I want for my wrestling. I can go back and watch this match time and time again and laugh my ass off.
But if somebody's a wrestling purist, they know what to expect from WrestleMania. They know that they'll get some straight technical matches, but they also know they'll get stuff like this.
Absolutely. But yeah, this is great fun. Somehow still not the most fun segment of the night, but we'll get to that in a bit. This was next up was the Fatal 4-Way or Fatal 4-Way tag team women's match. Naomi and Sasha Banks, Carmella and Queen Selena, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, and Natalia and Shayna Baszler. This match is fine. It was really unfortunate because they didn't get given much time at all.
This match had one job, and it's to make people care about the women's tag team titles. Do people now care a bit more about the women's tag team titles now that Sasha and Naomi have got them? Probably yes.
Yeah.
I think it will give the titles a bit more relevance, and it looks that way going forward as well.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, this was fine. The best thing about it was the entrance. I mean, I like the fact that Sasha came out in a Lambo. That was good fun.
I love the fact that Liv and Rhea basically came out as Catwoman and Donnie Darko.
Yep.
I mean, I love them as a team. Don't split them up. Keep them together. They're brilliant.
Unfortunately, we'll get to that in a bit though. But yeah, this match was one, like you said, by Sasha and Naomi. The crowd loved it. Like you said, it was really good. But there's not much to say about this one because, like I said, it didn't get much time. I understand why, given the context.
Again, it was well booked.
Oh no, totally. It was for what it was.
A multiple tag match. Again, it was well booked.
But yeah,
but we need to get people like Shayna out of the tag division. She's better than that. Get her on SmackDown. Get her taking on Charlotte. Get her winning the belt.
Absolutely, I agree. But yes, like we said, the tag team titles double on with Sasha and Naomi. But now we move on to this match that for me, I just listened to this quite a divisive match on social media. Lived up to the hype again. Edge versus AJ Styles in a clinical 25-minute match. And I'm going to be honest, John, I don't know how you think about this, with a really good ending. People say it's a dusty finish. I disagree.
I've got to say, on the night, I loved the match, hated the finish. 24 hours later, I'm okay with the finish. I didn't want it to be a case where it was a finish like that and then didn't go anywhere. But it looks like it is going somewhere. So I'm actually okay with the finish if it's going to push this arc further.
Yes, absolutely. I loved everything about this match.
I do feel that the match deserved a better finish than that.
I see why. Again, maybe I'm not going on the WrestleMania high. I really had a good time here. But I loved everything about this match. Moments that you could talk about. There's so many. Oh God. Edge hitting multiple spears. AJ Styles I don't think he even hit the. I don't think he hit the Styles Clash at any point, did he? Which is another protective move. Obviously, we had the finish, which I think everyone saw coming. The phenomenal forearm into the spear.
But my issue here is like we've got two guys that are veterans of like 20, 25 years of wrestling. Is one of them really going to be distracted by the fact that Damien Priest, who's done nothing in the last 6 months, is standing by the side of the ring?
He's got new eyeshadow, John. There you go.
Well, I mean, I doubt that AJ's got the. I doubt that in that moment AJ was like, "Oh, he's got new eyeshadow." I'd never noticed that before.
Yes, like you mentioned, John, Damien Priest comes outside the ring. AJ gets a shot for 2 seconds. He leaps for a phenomenal form, gets caught by a spear. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, a mid-air spear. So actually the final move was brilliant. It was just the actual distraction in setting it up that I'm annoyed about.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. And I think for me, it was match of the night. Not moment of the night, match of the night, though, in terms of in-ring.
I tend to agree. Probably match of the weekend.
For me, I think it's still Bianca Becky, personally. But Tit for tat. They're both brilliant.
I'm an Attitude Era guy. You give me Edge winning a match at Mania, and that's gonna top it.
All right, next match was we can talk about this really quickly because it didn't last very long. Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch. They defeated the New Day in under 2 minutes. Only cool thing about this was the fact that the New Day were wearing Big E singlets. They got demolished.
We had 2-hour pre-shows with no fucking wrestling on them, with just panels with people talking and rubbish jokes from Jerry the King Lawler and Jake Paul coming out and saying stuff. Why could we not have put this onto a pre-show and given it 15 minutes?
Yep. Now, this is the only thing of WrestleMania for me that you look back and you go, but yeah, just we can move on. Sheamus and Ridge Holland win.
You know, those guys deserve longer than that. They all deserve better than that.
Oh, absolutely. But unfortunately, they didn't get it.
We could have had that match and scrapped the bit where Jerry the King Lawler was talking about, oh, Big E was saying he wanted to retire by the age of 35. He's 36 now. He may never wrestle again. It's like, fuck off, you.
Yeah.
Okay, I nearly said something slanderous there. But I mean, it is out there in the public eye. I'm not going to say it myself, but people, if you have Google, go and have a little look at what Jerry the King Lawler was doing in 1993.
Okay.
Alex, I'll tell you after we switched off the recording.
Cool. Right, next up for me, moment of the weekend. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. Let's not even get into it. First of all, Vince McMahon comes out with Austin Theory. Not only do you have Michael Cole doing perfect commentary on this, he's with Byron Saxton paying the company line, saying, Cole, you need to watch yourself. Vince's right there. He's probably going to watch this back. He'll hear you. Michael's saying, I don't care. Pat is my friend. And then we cut to Pat. The cheerleaders come out. And it turns out that they've paid for Pat McAfee to come out to Seven Nation Army.
Dum, 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 dum. It's brilliant.
And the crowd are loving it. The crowd love Pat McAfee. They love him. Match goes really well. Obviously, Austin Theory doing most of the damage, but Pat got some really cool spots in. There's a moment where he went for a superplex. Austin pushed him off the ropes, but McAfee backflips and jumps straight back onto the top rope again out of nowhere, superplexed him beautifully. The moment where Pat McAfee goes for a swanton bomb, and he misses it. You got the moment where Pat McAfee throws ice onto Theory and puts the commentator's headset on. He's the only man in WrestleMania history to commentate his own match. But obviously the match ends with a roll up 1, 2, 3. Pat McAfee wins, but it's the post match which is somehow even more interesting. Vince is berating Theory.
Rock commentate on part of one of his own matches during a Mania at one point.
I don't know. It's just what Michael Cole said, so I'm just going to take it.
Okay, because I'm sure it was either a Mania or it was in a pay-per-view after Mania. There was a match where The Rock got a camera and literally started doing his own commentary, and then slammed on you with a camera.
Okay, I don't know, but Michael Cole said it. So, after the match, Vince is berating Austin Theory, and McAfee's on the second rope, and he goes, I want you. And Vince is like, me? He goes, yeah, I want you. And Vince takes the jacket. Oh no, he's not going to do it. He walks off. The crowd are booing, and this is the loudest thing they've done all night. They are booing the shit out of him. And he takes the jacket off, takes the shirt off. He's already ready to go. We are getting a Vince McMahon match at WrestleMania.
It's a good job he had his black wrestling vest on under that shirt, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh God.
I thought he was going to drop his strides and have Tyson underneath as well, but he's not.
I don't like that. I'm going to be honest, right? This match, Vince versus Pat, we can't talk about it in a ring perspective because who cares? It's the fact that Vince McMahon is wrestling at WrestleMania. When we talk about moments, this is fucking brilliant. I was all in for this. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's brilliant.
I think the only thing for me that would have made it a little bit better would have been if this had been on the first night. And so while Vince is wrestling Pat McAfee, in the back of your mind, you've got Austin's in the building. What if Austin comes out?
Yeah.
That's the only thing for me that would have put a little bit of a cherry on top of it.
Yeah, this is great. Obviously, Vince goes over, and Austin, Vince and Theory are celebrating. The celebration's really long, so someone's going to come out. Austin comes out and stunners Theory, and then has a beer with Vince against the Steve Weisers, and he has a beer with Vince, and then the worst but best sell of the stunner, which Vince McMahon does. It's still one of the best things I've ever seen. You cannot take it away. I love it. It's so bad, but it's so good at the same time. Austin is laughing his head off after the match. He's got the Steve Weisers. Pat McAfee gets back up. He's having some Steve Weisers, and then we get legitimately probably the best sell of the stunner over the weekend as he stunners Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee spits the beer in a perfect stream out of his mouth, and Austin's just celebrating with so many beers all over the place. And it cuts to McAfee, who's just downing a beer on the floor outside of the ring. I love this.
Nothing looks better in wrestling than somebody taking a stunner with a mouthful of beer.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, mate. It's stupid, I know, but I loved it from start to finish. Every minute had me hooked.
It was great.
Every minute had me hooked. Yeah, I loved it. Like I said, WrestleMania was fun. Yeah, this was it. But now we head into the picture that John's got behind him. The main event of the evening: Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar.
My head perfectly in front of Paul Heyman all for the last hour.
And unfortunately, another match which was hampered by injury. This match ended 15 minutes earlier than it was supposed to by reports because Roman Reigns legitimately popped his arm out, which is a massive shame.
Yeah, during the Kimura lock, you heard him call it to Heyman. I mean, I'm not sure if this was meant to go 25 minutes, actually, because I'm not sure I've ever seen Brock Lesnar have a 25-minute match. But, I mean, we got the spots that we were supposed to get.
Oh, this was really fun.
Yeah, they packed a lot into the 11 minutes.
This was a big fight feel. It wasn't
champion versus champion's always got a little bit of a special kind of frisson to it.
Yeah.
And this was pretty special.
Yeah. This was perfect. I think, obviously not a perfect wrestling match, but it's as perfect as a Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns match going to get. It wasn't slow. It never let up. It felt big. Every move felt impactful.
Yeah.
And it was really good. And it wasn't a dirty finish. We didn't get a Roman won legitimately quite cleanly. And I loved it.
Yeah. And I think that's telling. Because obviously sometimes when heels win, it is a bit sneaky. But I think when you get a heel win a big match like this, legitimately, I think that's a big indication of the type of heel that the company wants them to be.
Yeah.
And quite clearly they're pushing, they're pushing Roman to be a bit of a powerhouse in that, in that direction.
Totally. But WrestleMania 38, John, before we get into Raw, I'm going to say this. I don't care if you think it's an overstatement. One of the most enjoyable WrestleManias ever. Certainly the most enjoyable WrestleMania since 31. I had a good time. It's up there for me with the best.
Yeah, it's the best one they've done for a while.
Look, people say X7. I love X7. My particular favorite is 30, but then that is sort of my X7 with the Daniel Bryan storyline. But this is up there for me. If you look at match to match, there wasn't a terrible match on the card, which you can't say for many WrestleMania. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. But now we get into the Raw after Mania. Ooh, what could happen? Who could pop out? Well, not a lot happened actually, but we'll talk about the fun stuff.
I think that there was a couple of interesting bits, and there's something that I picked up on that I'm wondering if you picked up on.
Do you want to talk about this first? Because I genuinely have no idea what.
No, we'll talk about that last.
Okay, right. So we'll start with Cody Rhodes. He starts off. Oh, first of all, I love the storyline already. It's so basic. There's no muddling. Oh, I used to be an AEW guy who's come back. This is, I never won the big one here. I'm going to win it, not just for me, not just for you, but for my dad. And that is the entire storyline. I loved it. One of the best promos of the year. Somebody's going to have to do a job to beat this one. The emotion was there. It got to point. It didn't linger. It was brilliant.
Yeah. And Seth coming out and showing him some respect. I mean, what I would say, and this is something that I noticed through the entire show, it was a great promo in spite of some iffy crowd reactions.
Oh, the crowd were rubbish.
You know, the crowd last night were not great. I mean, my friend Phil was there, and I'm going to give him a bit of banter because the crowd last night were not great.
No, they were pretty dead. But yeah. Wonderful. I think that kind of puts a bookend on Cody versus Seth. I'm going to make my bold prediction now. Obviously, we'll be back here on the podcast talking about it. I'm going to say Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for SummerSlam. That's my bold prediction. Next thing that really happened was a championship. What do they call these? Just championship challenge matches. Which, by the way, I hate the concept of them. What is a championship challenge match? It's stupid. So the interesting thing that happened with this,
it's a very good concept because it's like if you can beat the champions in a non-title match, then you get a title match. The problem with this is that they didn't beat the champions in a non-title match, and they've still got a fucking title match. So what was the point?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. The interesting thing was what happened after the match. But yeah, the champions beat them, and Rhea walks away. She says she doesn't say anything. We cut to later on in the show, as John alluded to there, and Rhea's like, "Oh no, we're all good now. I've got ourselves a title shot next week." Which John, I know you don't want them to break up, but
I can't see it. I can't see him breaking it.
I fear it. But then next thing, well, as they're walking away, Kevin Owens comes out and he does it brilliantly. He goes, props to Steve Austin. He did a really good job. No, fair play. Because to beat one of the best wrestlers on the planet is an achievement. I think as the crowd start to boo, and I'm sort of like, don't boo him because it's a fact. And that's what he said. He's like, don't boo me because you know I'm right. Like, and he keeps talking and talking. He's like, oh, I would have beaten him, but I got myself injured at the gym because, you know, I go to the gym, I work every day. And then suddenly he gets interrupted by somebody on the Titantron called Ezekiel, who looks very similar to a certain Elias. And obviously Kevin Owens, I'm happy that they're picking up on this. They're not pretending, oh, who are you? But no, he goes, Elias? He goes, I'm Elias's younger brother, Ezekiel. And Kevin goes, no, you're not.
I mean, for a start, what sort of shit name's that?
Yeah, exactly.
Twat.
But John, I really enjoyed this. I know it's done.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time, obviously, we've seen Elias / Ezekiel / whoever for a little while.
Yeah, I had a really good time with it. The segment ends. Next thing we get, that's still of note, I think this came before the title match, was The Miz versus Dominic Mysterio. The Miz beats Dominic in 2 minutes, but then John, finally, Veer has come. He came everywhere. He came all over the Mysterios. The crowd still didn't give a fuck, which is really annoying because everything they talked about, the whole fucking build-up was, oh, we can't wait for Veer to come, and Veer comes, the crowd don't care. What was up with this crowd? Like, that should have been, even if it was like just a pop for one night, they should have lost their shit because of the memes. And they just didn't care.
Yeah.
The Rock could have come back last night and they wouldn't have given a fuck. Like, but yeah, Veer destroys Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
Destroys the poor bastard. Next thing that happened, there was a neat little NXT title match between Dolph Ziggler and Braun Breaker, in which Braun Breaker gets the title back. Essentially, it's a ploy for NXT 2.0 because NXT Stand and Deliver, half the building was empty. But I think that might also be down to the fact you put it on the same day as WrestleMania. Maybe not the best idea. But yeah.
What was the point? Why not give him the belt at Stand and Deliver?
More eyes on Raw.
I don't get it.
It's silly, but the match is good because it's a Dolph Ziggler match, so it's always going to be good.
Yeah,
Next, the next thing that really happened was Edge had a promo where he was essentially explaining his new business with Damien Priest. It seems like it might not be the only members though. It seems like we might be recruiting a few people around.
Yeah.
Really good promo though, like John said, it won him over on kind of the finish. If it's going somewhere good, it has the potential to go somewhere good. I like it. AJ Styles comes out, tries to beat the shit out of them. Unfortunately for his efforts, almost gets concerto the second time. The biggest pop of the night was when the crowd started chanting Jamie Noble, because Jamie Noble came out to, with the Syria and the crowd. What?
Jamie Noble.
We had a neat 6-man tag team match with the Usos and Austin Theory defeating our champions. Unfortunately, Finn Balor, as soon as he's won the belt, has since lost the belt, has since lost every match he's been in. But Austin Theory getting a win, it kind of, takes the rub off him from losing to McAfee. And you know what? A Balor Theory feud, I could get behind that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our main event was apparently building up to be Roman Reigns came out to talk to us. And Roman Reigns actually went, "Oh, we've run out of time tonight. See you on SmackDown." What?
No, I'm sorry, but you see, this is the thing that I picked up on, right? That promo with Heyman talking about what a box office draw he is, etc., etc., etc. To me, I mean, we've all heard the rumors about where we're going with Mania next year. To me, that is the first sowing of the seeds for Roman versus Rock in LA next year.
Yep.
And if that's the way they're going with this, where they're going to try and build this up for about a year, I am all over it.
Me too. No, totally. I'm down for this.
I mean, I'm hoping it's not just me that thinks that. It's not just me that picked up on that.
Oh no. It's been well documented that the belief is that if Rock can get the time off, it will be Rock.
Well, no, I know that, but I mean, in terms of the promo last night being,
I can see it.
The introduction to that.
I can see it. I had a real issue with that, and I felt that the fans in the arena kind of got cheapened by essentially momentarily being, "See you on SmackDown." What? Like, give us something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting there going, give us something. It just felt like the WWE, I've said 2 really good nights. It just felt like they gave up on Raw last night. I mean, we had a few returns, a few cool matches, but there's nothing that you're going to talk about coming at the end of this.
The crowd reaction to Bianca was interesting as well.
I think they were just dicking about, weren't they? Yeah. Which is a real shame. But yeah, Raw after Mania went great. However, I will say this, John. I will be watching SmackDown this week. WrestleMania has put me back in that mode of I'm going to try and start watching WWE Weekly again. It's probably going to fade in 3 weeks, but they've got me on the hook. Will they keep me there? We'll find out. But overall, John, an enjoyable weekend. A weekend that I definitely needed. I don't speak for yourself, but it was a nice escapism for 2 nights of just really good fun.
No, it was really nice. It was cool.
But yes, like I mentioned, there'll be no podcast next week. Because I'm taking a week off, but we'll be back soon. But where was I? Yeah, we'll be doing Endgame once I'm back, but also there'll be Moon Knight podcasts, Moon Knight reviews. Sorry, so you'll see me again tomorrow, probably talking about Moon Knight, episode 2. That'll be. But yeah, John, I'm excited, buddy. For the future of the podcast, near episode 100. It's very frightening and interesting and scary. And where do we go from there? But no, we'll find out. But yes, you can follow John at johnboy_cook. You can follow me at king_dom. You can follow the podcast at Tabs Pod. And we'll see you all very soon. Genuinely thank you for the reception on the wrestling stuff over the past few weeks. We will be doing SummerSlam again, and that's when we'll be coming back to more wrestling. But until then, guys, take it easy. Goodbye.
Don't have nightmares. Do sleep well.
Woo!